We're back with Jon Voight. And Jon, before we took the break, I said you had a special message for the people of America. I don't know what it is because you haven't shared it with me yet. So I'm going to hear it as the people of this country hear it, but I'm anxious to hear it because I believe you have been gifted with extraordinary wisdom and insight into this nation's particular predicament right now.
Thanks very much, Governor. This is a letter I wrote, and I'd like to read it for the American people. So let me just say, in 1 year, the American people are witnessing the greatest lie that is cleverly orchestrated by President Obama and his whole administration. The lie is a potent aggression that feeds the needs of people who either have not educated themselves enough to understand the assault upon us all, or the very poor and needy who live to be taken care of. President Obama feeds these people poison, giving them the idea that they are entitled to take from the wealthier who have lived and worked in a democracy that understands that capitalism is the only truth that keeps a nation healthy and fed. Now, the lie goes very deep, and President Obama has been cleverly trained in the Alinsky method, and it would be very important that every American knows what that method is. It is a socialistic Marxist teaching, and with it, little by little, he rapes this nation, taking down our defenses, making new language for the Islamic extremists. The world, who looked up to us as a symbol of hope and prosperity, now wonders what will become of the entire world if America is losing its power. The American people who understand exactly what is taking place have come together in the thousands, vowing to try to stay together as a unit of love and freedom for all men and women from all walks of life, shivering to think that this once great nation will be a third world country. This will be the first president to ever weaken the United States of America. President Obama uses his aggression and arrogance for his own agenda against the will of the American people when he should be using his will and aggression against our enemies. Every loving American for peace and truth and the security of our nation must come out and join the Tea Parties in their states. The opposition will continue their tactics. They will lie and plant their own bullies amongst us. Everyone must pay close attention to who stands next to them. We can weed out the liars and agitators. Let us all stay in God's light. Let no man put us under. We can and we will prevail. God bless us all.
Jon, thank you very much for sharing a very personal and intimate view that you have of this country and of its dangers. You know, Jon, I don't think President Obama personally wants to hurt the country. I know that there are people who believe that he's actually wanting to do that. I don't bring myself to that point. I think his policies certainly are not good for us militarily, certainly not economically, but there does seem to be a very different direction that this administration is taking us in terms of the balance of power, not only internationally, but even internally. And I think that's the heart of your letter, is that these are this is not just a transition from a Republican to a Democratic administration. We've had that before, yeah. But quite frankly, in all fairness, the country did fairly well under Bill Clinton's presidency economically. We reduced our deficit. We saw jobs increase, technology advance. We saw NAFTA passed and welfare reform. But we're not seeing that kind of change. This is not just party to party.
No, it isn't. And I think when we look at Obama's training, and it is in the Alinsky method that I mentioned, for anybody who cares to find out, there's a book called Rules for Radicals. And it's dedicated to taking down the capitalist system. So there is, in his background and in his agenda, that aspect of dismantling the capitalist system. And he's doing it quite well.
Well, especially with the bailouts, the fact that government becomes not just the referee of the game, but they become a player. They take off the striped shirts and they put on a team jersey. They pick the winners and the losers. AIG wins and the little guy loses. These are the kind of things that trouble me very much. Jon, I want to say thank you for coming today. It's always an honor and a privilege to have you here. I know your voice is getting extraordinary amounts of attention. And you know what? I appreciate your courage, because it's not like it's making you popular back with the folks in Hollywood.
Well, you know who have the real courage are the African Americans who are part of the Tea Party movement. They have to stand up to people calling them traitors. And it's interesting, we have 37 African Americans now running for Congress or the Senate for this November election. And those are the people, to me, that have courage.
Well, as do you. Jon Voight, thank you very much. A pleasure to have you here.